In what is a significant appeal that will be heard by the U.S. Supreme Court, the U.S. government has upheld the extradition of the terrorist Tahawwur Rana to India. If the appeal is accepted, Rana will be brought to India. A major battle to track down and prosecute those involved in the Mumbai 26/11 attack plot in which 166 people were killed. Tahawwur Rana, a Canadian citizen, he was involved with David Coleman Headley in plotting terrorist attacks with Lashkar-e-Toiba, including the 2008 Mumbai attacks. Rana was convicted in the US for providing material support to terrorism, but he was acquitted on charges related directly to the Mumbai attacks. Now, the big question is whether Rana's extradition to India is barred by a clause in the extradition treaty between the United States and India, which prevents an individual from being convicted or acquitted for the same offense twice, once in the United States and once in India. The US government, it argues that the offenses for which India seeks extradition have elements different from those Rana was charged or acquitted of in the United States. Thus, extradition is not barred. Now, what is Tahawwur Rana accused of, and what was his role in the Mumbai terror attack? He allegedly helped crime accused David Coleman Headley in order to obtain a business visa for in India under the guise of opening a Mumbai branch of his immigration business, providing material support to Lashkar-e-Toiba, which is a terrorist organization. Rana was also involved in a plot to attack the Danish newspaper, which had published controversial cartoons of Prophet Muhammad. India has sought Rana's extradition for his alleged role in the Mumbai attacks, charging him with conspiracy, waging war against the government of India, murder, and other terrorism-related offences. All right, I'm currently joined by my colleagues Anuj Raite and Vishal Vivek. I also have Mr. P.K. Jain, former additional DGP of the Maharashtra. Mr. Jain, before I come to you, let me go across to my colleague Anuj Raite there. Anuj, how does Tahawwur Rana's extradition fit into the broader context of India's efforts to bring him back and bring all the people responsible for the 2008 Mumbai attacks to justice? That is the big question. Anuj, if you can hear me, my question to you is, how does Tahawwur Rana's extradition fit into the broader context of India's efforts in order to bring those responsible for this attack, for the 2008 attack, to justice? Because that is the big question that everyone has been asking. All right, we'll try and get Anuj Raite back here. Let me take that question to Mr. P.K. Jain here. Sir, like I asked my colleague there, just give us a sense of how does his extradition here fit in the broader context? Because the big question is getting getting these people responsible for these attacks to justice here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shah, for inviting me here. See, it is apparently clear. The only witness and evidence that we had till today was the person who was hanged, Kasab, who was hanged for these blasts in Mumbai and for the terror activities that the entire group carried out. There was no doubt, we had no doubt in our mind, we had adequate evidence to prove that the involvement of Pakistani government as well as ISI was more than clear. Now, Tahawwur Rana and Headley are the two threads who had put the entire thing in motion in India, in Mumbai. So getting this accused back to India would open floodgates of information during investigation. We have not been able to properly investigate the handlers, the propagators, the people who had planned the entire thing here in India. So once we get this gentleman here, this accused, back to India, we will be able to effectively, comprehensively question him and find out the involvement of his own, how the entire thing was plotted, how the government of Pakistan and ISI were thickly involved into the whole thing, and how these terror accused who are still roaming around free in Pakistan, there would be adequate evidence and any other agency that would be involved or any other outfit that would be involved in this case. So the entire information is going to flow, which is going to be a major gain for the Indian intelligence agencies. It is going to be a gold mine of information that is going to be available. So getting this accused to India is our top priority. And fortunately, all the courts till the highest court of appeal, everybody has upheld that he should be extradited to India. So this double jeopardy business that he was convicted in US and now he cannot be tried or convicted in India is all a sham. It is only another ploy to keep him away from the Indian intelligence and Indian investigating agencies. So the things are very clear. One should be, one should have no doubts in one's mind that getting this person to India is of extreme importance for unfolding whatever has been remaining hidden till now in the entire conspiracy and carrying out these attacks on the Indian soil.
Mr. Jan, just break
Shah.
it down for us, the technicalities that are involved here. The big question here is whether Rana's extradition to India is barred by a clause. What is that clause, that extradition treaty between the United States and India, which actually prevents an individual from being convicted or acquitted for the same offense twice? Just break it down for us. What exactly is it for our audience?
What they are trying to take benefit is of double jeopardy. Double jeopardy is that if an accused has been prosecuted and convicted in the US, for the same offense, he cannot be prosecuted and convicted in another country, or maybe in India in this case, since it is a extradition treaty between two countries. Now, the charges for which he was prosecuted there, that did not involve the terror activities. He was not convicted for, he was probably convicted for planning a terror attack and for providing his support from the US. But in India, he will be tried for terror activities on the Indian soil against the Indian populace. So these two things are different. The charges to be brought against him in Indian court will be different from the charges that were brought against him in the US courts. And that is why this plea has been persistently taken by this accused and his advocates in the various US courts, who have already passed orders to that effect that he should be extradited and he should be tried by the Indian courts. So there's no double jeopardy in this case involved. Tahawwur Rana should be brought to India. He should be extradited to India in the interest of justice, in the interest of a fight against international terrorism, to which I'm sure that even a country like US is committed. India, of course, is committed. We've been facing this kind of activities and onslaught from our neighbor, but US has been so far away that in many cases they have not been supporting or backing the Indian claims. But this is one case which has stood the test, the test of time. It has stood the test of the US courts, and now it is only one court which is left. And I hope and I'm sure that the court is going to look into the merits of the case, and they're going to allow his extradition to India.
Mr. Jan, before I let you go, my final question to you is, we are speaking about the implications of this case, especially on global counterterrorism efforts. How do you think, how might Rana's extradition efforts to India impact international cooperation on counterterrorism cases? Because it's not just one single case here. We are speaking about multiple such cases. With respect to India and with respect to India, just break it down for us. What are the implications here?
See, what happens is that many of these accused, they take shelter in countries where they have some kind of an immunity. Many countries, even today, do not entertain the claims made by the Indian government. Canada is a very stark example where tens and hundreds of Khalistani terrorists and Khalistani people who are facing number of cases in India are residing. Yet we do not get to hear anything from the government of Canada. We don't hear any support from them. UK is another country where people go and stay with impunity. There are other countries like from where we had brought Abu Salem, another country where there was a treaty that he cannot be convicted, he cannot be given a death penalty. He should be only given a maximum punishment of 25 years. So there are various clauses in extradition treaties between two countries. It is not a universal treaty which is signed with every other country. It is always a treaty which is between two countries. As far as US is concerned, extradition treaty is very much in place. Extradition treaty only speaks of a clause where they say it cannot be a case of double jeopardy, which one can understand. Even in Indian law, there's a concept of double jeopardy. Once you've been convicted of a crime, you cannot be convicted for the same crime again. But as I said earlier, it is a question of whether it is a case of double jeopardy or not. It's a double. In US, he's been convicted for a different set of crimes. In India, he will be tried for different set of crimes for which he can still be convicted again. So there are two different things. So extradition treaties are, as I said, what is suiting between suiting the two countries. So those terms are put. So there are different clauses in extradition treaties with different countries. So this is how I would like to say. But one thing is sure, that we have been fighting a very, very long battle. 2008, you can imagine, we've been fighting for almost 16 years now, and we have not been able to get hold of a major accused in this case. So I hope that the world understands that now the entire world is facing terrorism. America
Right.
never thought that they'll be attacked, like what happened to them on 9/11. So now every country is in the line of fire. So they must come together to fight this concept of terrorism, together. Otherwise, you find that small loopholes here and there can benefit the terrorists a lot, and they find safe havens here and there. So if the world comes together, if the governments come together, these loopholes can be plugged, and there would be a mutual exchange of terrorists from one country to another wherever they are facing serious crime charges.
All right, Mr. P.K. Jain, thank you very much for speaking to us on NDTV. In fact, I'm also currently joined by my colleagues Anuj Raite and Vishal Vivek. Anuj, to you first. You know, the US government, it has told the United States Supreme Court that in order to dismiss Tahawwur Rana's plea, just break it down for us. What happens if the US Supreme Court decides to dismiss that plea?
You see, Tahawwur Rana had appealed to the US top court against what was the decision given by the lower courts. It was the writ of certiorari that he used in order to avoid an extradition to India, which has been refused by the US top court. In a 20-page long document, they've made clear that there is no exception that can be made here for Tahawwur Rana in this particular case. And without wasting a lot of time, the US Supreme Court has denied to review the decision taken by the relatively lower courts in the hierarchy and changed the decision. This is one of the several attempts being made by Tahawwur Rana to avoid his extradition, which almost got confirmed in the month of August earlier this year to India. And we are seeing that he followed a ladder by appealing to a higher court, but this was his probably his best and the last chance to avoid any sort of extradition to India. Tahawwur Rana, a Canadian national who was allegedly involved in the 2008-26/11 attacks here in Mumbai, is currently a prisoner. And, from the limited access that he had to the judicial impunity from there on, he tried to appeal to the higher courts. And the latest that we're hearing from the Supreme Court of the United States of America is that his extradition is a certainty now, considering that his writ of certiorari to review the decisions given by the lower courts has been denied by the top court in America.
Right. In fact, I'm also joined by my colleague Vishal Vivek. Vishal, just make us understand what are the implications here of this particular case on international cooperation, especially, on counter-terrorism efforts, particularly involving multiple countries and complex extradition, arrangements. Just make us understand that.
So this has sort of become a case study when it comes to extradition treaties between different countries. So as one of our guests mentioned earlier, that between India and US, the treaty says that there can't be double jeopardy. So double jeopardy is an instance wherein the same crime can be prosecuted in two different countries. That can't be done through the extradition treaty that India and US enjoy. So this particular case has, sort of opened up a Pandora's box as to what should be done in a case like this. As in, a lower court has acquitted Tahawwur Rana. That's what he's saying in one of his pleas. So what does the US Supreme Court do now? Now that the US government has requested it to delay the plea and also, cancel the plea, in the sense that he won't be able to extradite it to, he should be extradited to the Indian authorities. So all of that will come into play when the hearing is actually done. As far as the avenues are concerned, he has Tahawwur Rana has exhausted all his avenues. He has gone to almost all the lower courts in the U.S. He has come back with the same results. In one of the cases, he is saying that he was acquitted. So he's trying to use that to to be free of all the charges, but that won't be so easy. He is accused in one of the biggest cases the world has ever seen as far as terrorism cases are concerned. 2611, he was one of the main co-conspirators. He reportedly provided multiple entry visas to David Headley, who was the main conspirator. So these are some of the big charges against him. All of that will come into play when the US Supreme Court actually takes up the matter.